Hello, beautiful souls. Lori Rising here, star channeler, transformational mentor, and sacred guide. Happy Virgo New Moon. It's happening on Monday, September 2nd at 9:55 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's happening at the master number of 11. Ooh, we love 11. I mean, feel into how often you've looked at 1111. This is a collective vibe. There's a reason it's a master number. This is about your life path, and it's about your deep space of intuition, of knowingness, and of spiritual connection. And I love that 11 is showing up right here and right now in the Virgo energy, because Virgo is how you do it every single day. If we don't know by now, like, what the heck is going on? Maybe you're new to my world, but the mastery is being wildly conscious every single day, of being intentional, of being exploratory, of being curious, of being adaptable, of being in your evolution. You become the new you over and over and over while you live in your divine blueprint and the unique you that you came here to be. So if there's anything that I'm going to share with you about the Virgo energy, I want this to land right here and right now, because the old Virgo energy is all about perfectionism. The new Virgo energy is knowing at a cellular level, imperfect is perfect. And in that space, we no longer hold ourselves back. We no longer dim our lights. We no longer wait for permission. This is where we say yes, and we show up as we are, and we do the dang thing, because that's the boost and momentum of Virgo energy. It's going to help you do the dang thing. I believe throughout the summer, we have been moving through another like void phase. We're ready to move to the next octave. Yeah, even after the 888 portal, I know that was massive. The magic and the manifestation that has come through is next level. It is through the roof. And now with the Virgo signature in this new moon, it's how do we bring it to our reality? How do we bring it every single day, right? Because we can feel the fluctuation of when a manifestation comes in and we're on this like enlightened high. And then we might start to get a little nervous, right? We might start even self-sabotaging because we're like, oh my gosh, this can't last forever. What if it goes away? What if I fail? What if? That's the old Virgo energy. When you stand in like, there's no failure here. There's only more information. And this leads me to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And if this thing that has shown up in my world is meant to stay, it's going to evolve with me. It's going to come right along for the ride. And I can trust that. I can trust myself because of the medicine that I am. That's the Virgo signature. It's the body-mind connection and knowing that you are heaven on earth. So earth is this body. Heaven is the connection of this body with all that is, all that was, all that will ever be, with the unified field, with the multiverse. Like everything out there is also inside of here. And let's be real. We came here to like translate what's inside of here into the matrix and what we see in the physical world and the grid and the collective. And wow, y'all, you are turning on. Oh my goodness. The awakenings that are happening in my communities are just so yum. They're so powerful. They're so aligned. And it's like, boom, 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 boom. Okay. There's so much to share. But what I also want to say is Virgo, it can be fueled a little bit by anxiety because of that perfectionism quality that comes through. That is just, it's like being masterful at something. But we want to tap into the opposite energy, which is Pisces energy, to actually balance that out. And Pisces energy is boundless. It's limitless. It is spirit. It's soul. It's far beyond this physical body. So when we bring the two together, and you know without a doubt, which is the Mercury ruled Virgo, that you are telepathic, you are the medicine, you are the healer, you are the wise one, that you're on the path of discovering all the answers that have already been within, and it's a fun freaking ride, then you are unstoppable. So instead of like, I want to look at like, if we're feeling anxiety, that's coming from looking at something from the external world. Like we're not doing it right. Like we might lose it. Like we might fail. That's in the vibe of like comparison, competition. We want to be in the space of persistence. We want to use that Virgo energy of like, this is something that I'm saying yes to. This is a declaration in my life. I have already decided that this is coming. I am becoming this. And how do I show up every single day and take every step towards that and open up the new paths and possibilities? Now, when we get into the 888 portal that just came through and all of the manifestations and miracles that are showing up in all of your lives, I'm like here for it. I'm like a hell yes on it, loving it. And many of you I know that are in my communities, you've been laying this foundation for years. So let's get in the reality of manifestation energy. Just because of this 888 portal, it doesn't mean like, oh, suddenly things are just appearing because we think them. Hell no. It's those of you that have been showing up time and time again, clearing those triggers, those core wounds, those generational patterns, so that your cells open and integrate the light and vibrate at a higher frequency that allows the magnetization of the miracles and manifestations, because your frequency is now a match. Because you've been doing the work. Virgo does the work, right? So I really want you to sit with that. Don't be falling into like, why isn't it happening for me? Getting into that comparison. Get into that cheerleading of like, hell yes, this is opening up wider and wider and wider for the collective. Very soon, as we move more into the butterfly effect, the 100th monkey theory, then we're going to be tapping into people that are also unconscious. And I feel like that's already happening. I mean, y'all, the way that you're all vibrating to frequency and light and energy now, that's mastery. And there has been a bridge group or collective of you that have been creating these possibilities for all. I want you to sit with that. I want you to like give yourself a huge cheerleading moment and be like, yeah, I did that. I invested in myself. I invested my time, my money, my energy, my belief. And now it's starting to roll out. And it's starting, right? Like in the next few years, we're going to be like, this is the reality. There's going to be no more backtracking. Right now, we're still in like one step forward, sometimes two steps behind. And that's what's about to go down in the matrix. So this is the moment. This is a moment, this Virgo new moon. I know we have so many moments, but this really is a moment because the eclipses that are about to come up with the Uranus retrograde that's stationing on September 1st, with Pluto moving back for its final time into the anaretic degree of Capricorn. I mean, this is how we show up. This is how we say yes to the dismantling of the old systems that have been losing their power, but there are still so many, I just sit here, I'm like, there are still so many people that really have that core underlying belief that we're not going to get out of the systems, that that's just how it's going to be. So they have to keep showing up for them. I mean, gosh, this summer has been pretty wild. Like it really has. It's been up and down and all over the place. But I do feel like there's been a new level of understanding from our evolutionary wisdom that's been starting to open up within ourselves. And these little bodies, they take some time to integrate it. And that can feel really uncomfortable. But that's where having Mercury already stationed direct, moving back into Virgo with this new moon in Virgo, this is our opportunity. Like, if you've only been doing your work in spotty ways, whatever it is, the mindset work, the beliefs, the clearing of the energy, the breath work, the meditation, like it's gotta be something that becomes more normal for you than the hustle and grind, the imbalanced masculine energy, the force and control that leads to chronic states of stress. Like if you're not walking your talk in that, Now's the time. Like, let's get with it. Let's get on board. I feel like things are going to move really fast this fall, and you're going to have a solid foundation to come back to. You're going to have to be able to like find your grounding, find your belief, and hold the higher vibe. Hold that higher frequency, knowing where it's going to take us, knowing that others are going to start tapping in, knowing that truths are going to be revealed, that more knowledge is going to be shared in various ways, not just through what we're seeing in the channels that people are plugging into, but through light, energy, and frequency. It is happening on a mass scale. I just got an email from beautiful Diane, who is at the Next Octave retreat, sharing with me how profound our last night was for her in our frequency healing. It was a channeled sound bath, and she's been integrating it since then. So that's what I'm talking about here. When we show up to walk our talk, it's because we're actually living in the deeper space of divine feminine, of intuition, of receiving, and giving ourselves a freaking moment. Like giving this whole system time to integrate, to process, to alchemize, and then to come out and be the reality and do the thing, right? So notice, how are you showing up every day in a space of flow, of softness and receiving? And if you're not finding that at all through your day, this is your vision quest. So instead of intentions, we are moving into a solid foundation of what our vision quest is, and how do we keep becoming? How do we keep expanding on that? How do we show up in new ways for that? Because I just feel like intentions has weak energy. We're feeling the weak energy. We're feeling the leaky energy in everything in our lives. So now is the time that you really clean it up. And this is where we clean up so much the toxicity in our life, in our minds, in our energy, in our bodies, in our fields, in our stream of consciousness. Take note, like right now, write out, how many times through the day did I plug into something that my body told me didn't feel good? Do it like that. Get systematized like Virgo loves, and see what comes from there. See the enlightenments and epiphanies that come from there, because you are plugging into source and you have so much more available for you right now when you reveal the sticky stuff, the stuff that you are keeping at a subconscious or unconscious level. So that's just a little bit about what's going down in this Virgo new moon. And what we're going to do is I'm going to get us into the chart. So we look at the transits that are happening and talk about them a little bit more. And then I'm going to bring in a card read from the guides. And this is a great way to know like what energies to look out for. It gives us a heads up of like, how can we actually work with what's going down right now in fabulous freaking ways. And you'd be amazed at how this will show up in your life when you're paying attention, when you're in the present moment. And it's interesting because I brought in an old deck that I haven't used in a long time, my energy deck, because I wanted it to be more direct. So before we get into the chart, I just want to say hello again. Welcome if you are new to the channel. I'm so excited that you found us. If you are getting support from these messages, let me know. Really, let me know. Get into this collaboration with me as well. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, share the video with someone that you love or with your community, because when we all get deeper into this vibe, like this belief in ourselves, in our bones, in our blood, the whole collective changes. So we don't want to hold this too close. We want to share this far and wide. And I want to know if these videos are supporting you as well. So drop a comment below. Let me know what has really started to transpire for you this summer. If you've had some freaking incredible manifestations that have shown up for you after the 888 portal, share it. Like celebrate it. Let us celebrate it with you. Let's vibe with this. Let's like emanate it out. This is the love, the unconditional love, the unconditional witness, the like expansiveness of who we are and how we came to be, because we are finally breaking through of the muck, right? The density of that programming, that conditioning, and all of those generational patterns that have come through in our DNA. And wow, the acceleration of the light within these bodies is so profound. Don't you want that to move out into the collective in new ways? I certainly do. So thank you for being here. And I trust that something in these messages is here for you. So definitely stick around till the end. Now, if you want to know more about me and my programs, head on over to my hub at therawandwildhearts.com. There's a link below. I'm going to tell you right now that I am now just starting to put more energy back into the Awaken Your Fire Costa Rica retreat now that the next octave retreat has completed its circle and the magic is moving through our lives and it's rippling into the field. It's real. So there are 3 spaces left for the Awaken Your Fire Costa Rica experience. This is a 7-night experience. And what just happened in our 4-night experience of the next octave, like, woo, it is going to be massive, massive ascension, massive clearing, massive activation of the you that I know that you are, but maybe you're just not quite sure how to get there yet or what steps to take. When you get into my presence and when you get into the presence of all the guides that get channeled through me, you don't have to figure it out. It's not a mind thing. It's a resonance thing. So if you want to have one of the most profound experiences of this lifetime, I can say that with a guarantee. Come hang out with us. This circle of women is exquisite. This is such a sacred reclamation, and I want that for you. So move into your investment mindset and mentality, because when you believe that when you invest in yourself, that it's only going to get bigger. You're only going to find the new paths and possibilities. You're only going to expand and become more of who it is that you came here to be. There's no going back. There's no question. It's like a hell yes. Because guess what? In that space of abundance, everything comes in that frequency. More money, more love, more balance, more declaration, more knowingness, more soul medicine, more community that's in your vibration. So head below. You can check everything out at the link. If you've never worked with me before, I would love to hop on a free discovery call with you. So just go ahead and sign up for that free discovery call. And we're going to tap in together, because I want this to be a divine fit for everybody, for the circle that's already there, for you, for me, for them, for the entire multiverse and the entire evolution of all that continues to ripple out again and again and again. Now, also, I want to tell you about something that is free. This is free, y'all. It does take your time, your attention, your belief, and your Virgo power of showing up to do the practical thing. It's called Lead Your Life. If you've done it before, I invite you to do it again. This is a progressive, results-oriented space of your multidimensional self. It's over 8 days, and this is perfect in where we're leading with this Virgo energy, which becomes your daily habit. That's how I roll. That's how I work in my containers, is they're progressive, that you continue to find bigger and better and bolder results. And then you crave showing up. You crave doing the thing because you crave that life. Because when you get to that life, that's actually in balance. Out of balance has become normalized, but that's why it creates stress, because it's not who we really are. When we're in homeostasis, when we're in flow, that's when our vibration blasts up and out, because that's who we came to be. That is our reality and who we are. So jump into my free offer, Lead Your Life. Work with these energies. Live from the brightest and best light that you came here to shine and emanate, that only you came here to do and be. I am your biggest cheerleader, and this container is incredible. The results have been wild. That's why I've offered it for free. So notice when you're here free, do you just keep going? Or are you like, you know what? That's an opportunity, because that's money in my pocket and that's results right there that I am going to lead myself to the next version that opens up to more, that receives more, that does more, that believes in more. Yeah, I'm telling you, let's go. Let's go. All right, y'all, let's get into this chart. Okay, y'all, here we are. The sun and moon are at 11 degrees of Virgo right here. At a new moon, we always have the sun and moon conjunct, and they are opposing Saturn. We have had a lot of Saturn energy. And remember, Saturn is the sign of mastery. So it can create a challenge or restriction or a delay in something so that you have the opportunity to show up. Like, it is going to show you something that feels frustrating or stressful. And how do you respond to it? Because if you keep doing the same thing and expect a different result, Saturn's going to keep bringing it and squeezing harder and harder. This is what I want you to look at. Saturn in Pisces opposing the sun and moon in Virgo. Again, those opposing energies, like, you've got to find, like, what's the challenge here and what's the opportunity. So Saturn is spirit, and Virgo is going to have you down here in the body, in the earth. So if you're having trouble connecting with spirit, connecting with your guides, it's asking you to show up every single day and do the work of moving beyond the monkey mind, the overactive mind, the stress. Like, actually bring yourself to a state of non-resistant thought, of less stress and more presence, and trust, and let it flow from there. So that's just one example of what can be going down there. And we need to talk about Pluto moving back into the anaretic degree of Capricorn for the last time from September 2nd until November 19th. And we all know what is supposed to happen during that time, what might happen, what might not happen, what might have some big delays or changes or deaths in order for something new to come through during that time as well. So I want you to sit with this. Like, notice how much fear do you have about that, or how much trust do you have in the systems that are being rebirthed, that are being built in new ways. And this comes down to yourself. You are the new system, and how you show up for yourself in your sovereignty, in your healing, in your medicine, in your wisdom, in your potential, in your ability, like all of it. When you know that you are this unbelievably incredible, magnificent being, and you have the highest technology that already resides within you, you're no longer looking at the outside. You're no longer looking for these systems to do something for you. And you are doing the work in the energy. So then you actually don't need these systems in the same way. And when we get into the mass scale of this, with people really tapping into this, the systems, if they are still in power, will have to change based on supply and demand. But as long as we keep supplying them with all the demand, then they're going to keep doing the same thing that they've done over and over. So this is where it's so important that you have those spaces and those communities that you can come to, that you can talk to, that you vibrate in the same frequency with, because when the systems go down, the people that are still believing in them, the people that are still putting their stream of consciousness into them, are going to be reacting in places of big fear. And you can get sucked into that. And I don't want you to get sucked into that. You've done too much work to get sucked back into that. That is where ego lives. That's where the learned ego lives. And that's where people will get into a back and forth, an I'm right, you're wrong, a power over, from an imbalanced nervous system. And that's what creates more disease, more divide, more anger, more frustration. You've got to have a resolve within you to always know that you have the power to come back to a soft nervous system, that you have the power to transcend that learned ego. You have the power to look at the bigger picture and the evolution and where we're going, and you don't have to be in these minute details. Like, this is going to be an amazing part of history. How do we want it to really show up? And then we've got Uranus, which just stationed retrograde on September 1st, the day before the Virgo New Moon, and it's square to Mercury in Leo. That was quite the circle. All right, so Uranus stationing retrograde is gonna feel pretty intense because there's a tension that comes in, because Uranus is a very fast-moving planet. It's a fast-moving energy. It's electric, it's surprise. And so when it slows down, that's going to almost be eruptions that are coming through, because when it slows down, it doesn't move through. It's like, oh, it's taking a lot of time to get to that breakthrough. So that can be a squeeze on finances, on money, on security, on your simplicity, on your nature, on beauty, on like relationships, love, how you give and receive, what's happening in those dynamics. And then Mercury and Leo is how you communicate. So squaring that is like a challenge in how you communicate from your heart, because that's Leo, is the heart energy. Now Mercury is no longer retrograde, so there's much more of a flow there, but you've really got to look at these two big energies and how they're showing up in those spaces. And then we've also got Mars square to Neptune. And Neptune also is at the anaretic degree of Pisces. The anaretic degree is like the culmination point. It's like where I was talking about that eruption, it's like where the most tension lies, because it's gotta find some air. It's got to release everything that's built up through that sign and the phases of the sign to get to that final degree in order to move through, right? To rebirth into a new energy. So Mars is in Gemini. So that's like, how do you think? How do you talk? How do you communicate? How do you get curious? And how do you explore new ideas and details? But that can be confusing from the Neptune energy, because Neptune can always bring in this layer of like haze to the situation. So if you're feeling confused about something, like let yourself take a little bit more time, because Mars is that fast reactor, and let yourself explore it so that you can respond rather than react. Jupiter's also in Gemini. It's not conjunct. We're past 10 degrees here. I like to do 10-degree or less orbits. But still, we've got Jupiter expanding what you're doing with action in the way that you move forward in Gemini energy. And that's that Mercury signature as well. So we've got a lot of Mercury going on right here. So I'm just going to really invite you to notice your thoughts, and then notice the feeling that comes from your thoughts. And if that feeling doesn't feel good, that's where I want you to start dropping in and doing something new and looking in new places for what you think is the reality. It's almost like there's a different reality that's happening if you keep coming back to this and it's not feeling good. We've got to go deeper, and maybe you've got to go higher, right? With this Neptune in Pisces. Maybe you've got to look to your dreams. Wow, my dreams were off the chart last night, y'all. Like, they were wild. I was actually writing some things down because they were so big and kind of all over the place, but a lot of really important messages that came through. And then the last transit that I want to talk about is Ceres trine to the moon and sun in Virgo. Ceres has had something to say recently. And it's interesting because we're moving towards the fall equinox, and we just went through Lammas, which is the cross-quarter holiday of harvest, right? It's the peak harvest. And Ceres is about grain and nutrition and harvest, and in how we got nurtured, how we nurture others, especially how nurturing showed up for us as children, and what feels comfortable for us in nurturing. And so I want to sit with this because I feel like Ceres has really offered this place of like, what does nurturing mean to you? It's not just about how you give and receive love, but it's about how do you nurture every seed or idea in your life? How do you tend to it? How do you water it? How do you grow it? How do you nurture the plants and the animals and the life and the energy that's in your world? And how do you create clarity with it? How do you really hold it in a high and sacred space? I know there was like, I think when Ceres was coming through a couple weeks ago, I just like went through and cleaned so much out in my house. I spent days doing it, and it felt amazing. Like even my plants, I made sure that there was no dead growth in them, and I repotted some of them, and I let some of them go to seed and compost that just weren't thriving in this environment, and I talked to them. So I want you to sit with like, how much more expansive can I get in how I feel about nurturing in my life? Like when you hear that word, what comes up for you? And how can you actually open that in new ways, in different ways? And especially like with the foods that you eat, as we move back into this body-mind connection, the toxicity that moves through your world, and how do you show up to clear that? Because we should be showing up in our physicality. We should be showing up in our energy. We should be showing up in our breath. We should be showing up in our blood. We should be showing up in our spirit. We should be showing up in our relationships, in our stream of consciousness, right? There's so many ways. So I know that this was a lot, and I hope that you followed me and that you're feeling a lot of resonance in the transmission that came through. And real quick, I was gonna try to make this video shorter, and it seems like that just never happens because there's so much to say. But I do wanna pull some cards here and like just get some concrete advice of where to go, how to work with it. Oh my goodness. Wow. These, I mean, okay, so it makes sense that these intense cards come through because Virgo can have that level of intensity because they have the tenacity. So that's what we want to say yes to, is like, we want that tenacity in our life, but what's the direction that we're moving in? Where is our energy going towards? So you really got to clean some things up here is what I'm seeing in these cards. Like, okay. So the first card is hostilities. The second card, I'm just going to go through the cards. The second card is deceit. And the third card is door to value. So to be honest, I feel like we can't tiptoe around this anymore. If you've got people in your life, or if you're throwing out this vibe of hostile energy, I want you to like cut that shit off immediately. Find your way into expansion. Like, you can do it. We've been trained to believe that like we have to have something outside of us change, but we have all of the sovereignty. We have all of the agency over our life. We get to make choices in every moment of every day. And there are thousands, if not millions, of choices to be made. So when you get yourself put into a box and you only see what's in front of you, or you only tap into the energies of the people that you're connecting with right now, that can feel really small and limiting, and that can create hostilities. So, you know, without judgment, this is important. No stories or no judgment, because Virgo can come up with a lot of judgment because of that perfectionism within them. Again, remember, perfectionism is imperfect. And so the biggest piece that comes with perfectionism is, how do you respond? How do you show up to do it different? Because if you keep doing the same thing and looping, then that's a problem. But when something has knocked on your door over and over in different ways, it's time to show up in a new way. And how do you find that momentum? How do you find that desire? How do you find that passion? And how do you find that belief in the evolution of whatever needs to move beyond where it is right now? And trust that wherever it goes, it's going to come and find its way to what's meant for it. And that can be in your relationships. That can be in your job. It can be in so many other things. So if you've got hostilities in with someone or in somewhere in your life, it's time to take stock, because you're going to have to clean that up. Are you deceiving yourself? First and foremost, stop looking at how you think other people are deceiving you, because guess what? You're going to know. Your psychic sense is opening more and more. Welcome to my world. Y'all, I used to think this was such a curse. I know when energy changes, I know what people are thinking, but I don't tell them because I respect free will. And so I have had to learn for myself how to find that transcendence above that and really not attach a story to it. It's not about me. I just let that go and let that be. And then I can come back into the energy and trust that if I'm meant to be in that space with that person, we're going to continue on. And if this needs to be addressed, then it's going to show up again. It's going to show up more than once. Then it is something about us or about that interaction. So this is how you're going to have to really start to find your place of energetic discernment. The more that your channel opens up, the more that your psychic connection opens up. And you've got to find your place with free will. It's so important that you really do understand that, because that's how you live a life of clarity. When you really do hold a sacred space for free will and the knowledge of that's what we came here to actually act out and be in, is free will. So this really comes down to how you're deceiving yourself, not how anybody else is deceiving you. And then from there, you find the door to value. When you live in a value-based world, when you understand your intrinsic and inherent value, when you understand the value of what you invest in your life and where it's taking you, when you understand the value of moving through changes, evolutions, different iterations. I mean, there's so much. When you understand the value of it, you raise your frequency. You start attracting more of that. So value is something I talk about a lot in my containers because value is very different than expectation. So that's what I'm going to leave you with is really, I want you to start pondering that, how value is different than expectation. Because very, very rarely are the two going to meet up and come from the same space. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Virgo New Moon. Happy Vision Quest and how you are becoming and how you are declaring and where you are going. I am so excited for you. I'm so excited for us. This is going to be pretty wild. It's going to be pretty bumpy in the matrix, but it won't be bumpy for you because you've been doing the work, because you've transcended and you understand where evolution is moving and you are a part of the greater good and benevolence for all and how we are getting there from the personal work that we continue to show up and do. I love you so much. Make sure to go check out that free 23-minute chakra balancing sound bath on the YouTube channel. I'll share it somewhere around here at the end of this video or even right now. And until next time, y'all, don't forget to keep looking up.